and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we starting off with, well, it's budget talks, of course, with our work session today, and start with,
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yep, I was gonna say, I bet mine was pulling up. I did bring paper copies for here. That's more pleasing. If I don't try to be honest. We've had some shifts since we did our preliminary budget entry. And part of the shifts were the decreases in some grant funding from the state. And those shifts in grant funding decreases, we share across the CHB. As you might remember, we're funding through the CHB 2 positions at Waseca County, as well as the 2 positions in Waseca County. And so we want to make sure that those positions don't have tax levy implications if we can possibly avoid it. And that means when we have funding that is less than we expect in Waseca County, those inputs travel across. And some of the positions that we ancillarily use grant funding for to support little bits here and there, we pull out of those positions. So just as an overview, if you had looked at the budget previous to, actually, I think even probably the entries right now in Tyler Munis, correct?
Correct.
This is different. Additionally, there are some salary shifts that we will be making because we had some pleasant outcomes for our staff. We had some positions recreated. So there will be a little bit more salary implications to the budget next year as well.
Okay, yeah, so the CHB positions, they're not in this, are they in this
2
full-time?
who are in there. So Ashley, our community health coordinator, and Colin, our community health educator planner, are employed by Waseca County, and they are in our budget. Josh Raymaker, the supervisor for those 2 positions, as well as Sarah Porter, who's the emergency preparedness specialist, are in Waseca County's budgets and not in ours.
Okay, and they've got some funding to them, but not.
They are 100% grant funded.
Okay, they are no levy impact.
No levy impact for the 2 in Waseca County. We have a very small levy impact for Colin Ayers that we always hope to decrease over time. He's doing some mental health work that does not categorically fit any of our grant funding. And so there's a small portion of his time that at the moment is tax levy impacts. We are still working through what our cannabis grant will allow. And so we hope to be able to make a case for that mental health, for the mental health work that he's doing to fit into that cannabis and or potentially opioid as a prevention to substance use abuse. But we haven't gotten there quite yet. So in the to be conservative, we kept that as a tax levy impact for the time being.
And the only thing I'll mention, just based on Leah's question that Sarah doesn't have in front of her, but the some of the respective changes or the rewrites of the job descriptions aren't included in this as of yet, because Leah's waiting for them to be updated in Tyler before she really knows fully what the implications are to include them in her summary as well here. So just backing up a step and working, from the bottom up, it's respective of a 5% levy increase from 2025 to 2026. And the original draft, what you have in your workbooks, what is in Tyler right now is almost $50,000 less than the implication of this. So it was close to really to breaking even, if not a bit of a reduction in that first draft from a couple of months ago. With the revisions capturing most everything we can assume will be in 2026, and knowing that the more calibrated grant numbers are included in this. This is a commonality with public health every single year, because legislation happens and then we wait and we wait and we wait and usually find out we're getting less funding than we're looking for. This year really isn't an exception. And that typically doesn't happen until the beginning of August, when those numbers are finalized as best we can tell. So the draft you see in June from public health is always the best foot forward based on the information we have at that point in time, and then we know that something is going to change by the time we get closer to September and that preliminary levy getting certified.
We do have one grant. We still haven't received 2026 for WIC, so, which is not unusual, but just an FYI. WIC is a late comer for our budgeting purposes. Their funding doesn't start until October, so that's usually when we hear. Questions for us, including Leah, who's now here and can probably answer better than I can. Details anyway.
Professional and technical. You budgeted 36.6 last year, you're budgeting 8.26. What was the driver there?
That is the contract we have through the CHB for our,
Did you already say that?
nope,
Okay.
nope, I didn't. It was a good question. Part of that is the budget for our contractor for the CHB work, the infrastructure grant.
The other large amount is the SHIP mini grants. Now that we will be administrating the SHIP grants, we will be paying out the community partner awards, and there's $27,000 worth.
But we've got some revenue coming in.
Yes, both of the contractor and the SHIP community partner awards are grant reimbursed.
Yeah.
So I think Healthy Smiles is in there too, right?
Correct.
Okay.
What's the increase on mileage? Don't we provide vehicles?
We do, but we also get reimbursed from the state from our grants for much of our mileage.
And a lot of that increases, again, the SHIP grants.
So it's a little, you were saying this, I didn't, and I was trying to follow along, Michael.
Okay.
Your the expenses, the total expenses grew 7.2%. The way the budget sits right now, 25 to 26, but and the revenue grew 8.7%. So that's what you were talking about, right? The revenues actually grew more than the expenses, but we still have a 5% deficit.
It was part of the narrative overall, yes, in terms of how it's landing to that 5% implication of the county tax levy. But really, I was more so showing the comparison by what you have in your draft from June versus what we're seeing in August, because of those items that are just relatively unknown from a public health funding standpoint in that June timeframe. It's a little better than throwing a dart, but it's not much better. So you're just kind of operating on previous year information. So it's not uncommon for us to make the best guess we can in the June timeframe, knowing that it will inevitably change in August. So that was just to state that what you have, what we see in Tyler right now, what you have in your current budgetary program is about $48,000 less than what you see on the screen. So the 862, that number has grown by $48,000 from the first draft you saw.
Okay. questions for Sarah? Leah?
You said we don't know about WIC yet. It's just on a webinar, Zoom meeting yesterday with MDH. And for joint leadership team, and we're gonna have to talk because of course they are trying to understand the local take on, they know some of the cuts that have come already to public health at the state level. They also want a better understanding of the local conversations because there's going to be things that have to be done that aren't going to be funded, if not in 26 and 27. So trying to read a crystal ball, and already the pieces come together pretty late when in this particular area. Is there any obvious places where we already know we're losing federal funding for 26?
We know,
Okay.
but we have concerns
Yes.
about our emergency preparedness
Mhm.
dollars.
Yes.
And so we have that in the budget because the state keeps telling us it's coming. I'm a little nervous about that. And so part of the shift in the 45, 47, 50,000, whatever that number ended up to be, is some contingency planning for that position in Waseca County, because most of that funding funds her position.
Okay.
And so that's the infrastructure grant. We've tasked her with some items to keep that moving a little bit more smoothly, asking her to be a liaison to the contractor and do some of that back and forth for us so that we can have inputs and another stream of reimbursement for her, because we're concerned that might be a place that we don't have the funding we expect when we get there. Similarly, we're looking at that cannabis grant and making sure that we're able to maximize. We had some delays in spending, so we've got more than a fiscal year's worth of funding potentially available to us. But again, we have to meet the grant parameters in order to utilize that funding. So definitely it's hard because we've worked very hard to keep those positions streamlined and in the knowledge base that they best serve.
Yes.
And when we have funding shifts, the reality is that to keep them in the places that they do best, we have to ask them to do things a bit outside of their normal work.
Mhm.
And we have some very adaptable staff that are doing wonderful things for us, but it's less than ideal. Because as you said, the work doesn't stop. We still have to keep them here to do the work that's not funded, but still capitalize on the funding that we can.
My other question, if you'll indulge me, Chair, has to do with vaccinations and that the change from the federal level on recommended vaccinations and how that might affect. We have plenty of places, if not in around Waseca County, where you can go to the pharmacy and get a vaccination. But I'm looking at the roll down effect with Medicaid. There will certainly be people falling off Medicaid, if not this year, next year. And so there'll be more uninsured people that might be looking for those services that might be coming to us. And as I said, maybe not in 26, but in 27, I'm concerned that if pregnant women and if kids have come off the list.
Yeah, and we've also been listening for if certain vaccines come off the reimbursable list.
Yes.
Or if the uninsured program that we get our free vaccine from disappears or is less than what we'd hoped. So we're watching those things, but yeah, it's definitely a concern. And because as you probably all know, if you don't vaccinate the population, if they don't have access to preventative resources, they end up in emergency rooms and needing critical and urgent care. And that costs more. And the system bears the burden if they don't have insurance staff.
So not big concerns for 26.
But definitely watching it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Sarah, well, that wasn't a large amount, that 6,800 back from Amtrak, will that go in the general or back in your?
That's an excellent question for the board to answer. I don't know who they'll cut the check to. I imagine they'll just say Waseca County.
It just does, I received it yesterday.
Nice.
So it's in our office.
So even if it's received in public health is under the umbrella of the general fund.
Yeah.
So it's effectively the same thing at the end of the year when we roll up everything and consolidate the net impact of the general fund. So it's equally as appropriate to receive it as external revenue.
So that will get captured as basically extra reserve for 25.
I don't know if it'll get captured as extra reserve, but it will get captured as part of that whole roll up consolidation process in 2025 for the general fund. Yes.
Yeah.
So as public health is part of the general fund, as are several other departments. So if this department is a winner in the budget, this department's a loser, so to speak, it'll all consolidate. That is ultimately what drives that reserve formula that we've looked at a little bit, and we'll look at a little bit more. General fund.
Just revisit the increase in salaries. 13%. It's not really a 13% increase because we are going down a little bit in part-time.
Right.
Is that, well, part of the driver is just increases in salaries, but, and then there's a 0.2 more FTE in there. So is that all? Just that?
That's it.
Just that 0.2?
That's it.
But when you said you recreated, was there just some grade changes within?
Correct. So we had 2 additional positions, we had 4 positions regraded. And 2 of them would be a laddering process that we have implemented to keep employee retention strong. So after, and I forget how many years we landed on, Melissa's not here to tell me. But after so many years of service and you meet these criteria, then you end up as a 2. So we have 1 public health nurse 2 now, and the rest are public health nurse 1s. And 1 public health nurse, or 1 licensed social worker 2, and the rest, the other is a 1. So that was a grade change for those 2 positions. And additionally, our shared positions both received a grade increase based on the workload and the tasks that we're asking them to do. So they moved up a grade as well when those positions were revisited.
Is some that change particularly on shared positions because we brought the ship in-house?
Part of that is, yeah, yep, there were some revisions because of the ship grant becoming that position's being asked to be a coordinator, whereas before the coordinator sat in Brown and Nicollet counties. So there's some additional tasking for work plans that wasn't previously in their job description.
To remind the board, we're our own ship now between us and LeSueur instead of being Brown, Nicollet, LeSueur, and Waseca.
And that will start officially November 1st.
That was gonna be a net gain for us, wasn't it?
It is. The estimate came in lower than we'd hoped because we were not the only CHB that split that operation. So then the big pot at the state level got divided in 4 places than we had expected.
But still not bad.
Oh, no, I mean, we've got $27,000 budgeted for community grants that we have the, we get to administer ourselves. So that's that gain. I mean, it's in and out, but it's work that we get to do with our partners.
So
else? Is there, you know, like you say, public health is like human services, it's a, you don't know when the revenues are gonna do and everything, but you don't. If we said that we want you to be at a 4%, would you know where to go to get that percent?
It's really hard to find 4% without cutting up the.
No, I mean, just taking a percent out.
If
Where
the
you-
5%
instead of being
increase is a
5%.
4% increase, you're talking $12,000 or something.
There's places we could nickel and dime, but it'd be, something's kind of tight. And this does not have our new salary increases in it, correct?
Right.
So that's why I'm a little hesitant to say that we could really get to a 4 if we have the salary changes in.
The salary changes are not in this 5%.
Really?
No,
You mean the grade changes?
the grade
Yes.
changes,
Changes.
Okay.
sorry.
All of the other annual changes are.
So annual changes, okay. Anything else for Sarah? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
know this is a lot of work, but we appreciate it.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right, Brian.
Morning.
Morning.
I did not bring any handouts. But
Even after that.
what I'd like to do is,
Yes, here.
due to mine has budget, multiple buildings and budgets, I could just kind of go through a couple of the changes. And, you can follow through and then, stop me at any time if you have a question on it. And otherwise, you can hit me with the questions at the end. That's all right with the board?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just, so you're gonna go through several different categories here.
Basically, just the changes, the big changes that I had in the budget per building.
Okay,
Not the, like the, electrics, like the utilities had a standard increase as they do every year and stuff like that.
So there's 3 different unique aspects that's fine to define there. Kind of buildings and grounds, and facilities piece. There's parks, which is kind of its own miasma. Then Fund 11, which is typically our capital infrastructure projects as well too. So there are 3 unique sections in our budget. If you look at the budget summary as well, they're all treated independently on different lines and we track them and then expense them separately. So that's.
Thank you. Okay. So in every one of the building budgets, what I did was all the water and sewer, object codes, I moved to the 6250 utilities. So that has an increase in it, but the line item for the water and sewer would be 0. So they're all basically under one line item because it's really a combined budget, you know, versus separating the two. I can still go back and see actually what we spent on each one of them just through Tyler now versus having them separate and determining what we spent. That's the first one. The 01-521-5502, which is camping/pavilion. I moved that to a 25 account to help with upgrade costs in the park. That is a park fund. The 01-521-6260, which is also parks. That went up, and that's for contracted mowing of the parks, and then additional septic maintenance now with our septic that we have
Okay,
out at the park.
where are you at here? Are you on building and grounds?
Page 20.
On the park. 521,
Teach.
I'm sorry, I can go a little slower.
We're not as.
That's,
Okay,
all right. So, what I was talking about is the 015215502 got, camping and pavilion moved to a 25 account. To help with the upgrades on, the cost of the parks. Before-
25 account, that don't mean anything to me. What do you mean 25 account?
The 25 account is a special revenue account. So essentially what Brian is explaining, that he's trying to create a self-funding program so that the revenues that they're capturing for some of those fees, they're essentially putting in an assigned fund
Okay,
to fund improvements within the park in the future. So it's a strategy that started last year to try to just basically identify what those ongoing, whether it's ongoing maintenance needs, but more so those special type projects that are required. It's not a significant amount of money every year, but it's at least enough to do some of the smaller a la carte items.
Question on that account, Brian. It may be down in the assigned account, but it shows that you have the actual made no money on the camping pay this year,
On what?
on the camping fees.
So,
I'm just looking at the book here, it just says actual, it says zeros for camping pay.
5502,
5502 says zero for actual.
25 actual.
I'm just, have you made money? Have people been paying money for camping?
we have been, but that money has been going into the 25 account.
Okay,
So all reservations, all wood sales,
do we have that in our book, Michael? Or is that something that's separate that we don't see?
You do have some of the Fund 25s listed, yes, but you're going to see them more. So from the 2026 standpoint, the full budgetary implication of Fund 25 should always be zero. So we're missing one piece in this picture, and typically how this is going to work is that the profit and loss, if you will, has to be the vehicle to get something from what actually happened in a year to an assigned fund in Fund 25. So we're kind of missing the piece right now because, as you rightly just stated, well, it says zero, so we haven't collected any fees. We're collecting fees, but we should see them in here, and then at the end of the year, we should move them. So it's something we need to address and clean up a little differently, because we do this in other places too. But it's just like when we're budgeting to transfer money in, we do that once at the end of the year after we've proved that we actually need to do it. So there should always be some level of activity or transaction happening in like what you're looking at, this 0152 account, before it eventually lands in Fund 25.
I appreciate that explanation and knowing that, that the budget analysis, I mean, we knew that when we got this book, that this is a moving target.
Yeah.
I think for us, the question is philosophically, do we want that money to go into that assigned 25 account so that people who are using the park are helping to fund the stuff that happens in the park? And that's a philosophical question, regardless of how much money we're making or not making. And I suspect, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, like there isn't $1 million coming in there that we could use for something else.
no. So basically our average on a year is anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000.
That's what we needed to know. Thank you. Thanks, Brian.
I will look into so what you were saying is it should show in the camping pavilion and then towards the end of the year, transfer it over to 25.
Yeah, small tweak, at the end of the day, exact same thing happens, but we should run it through the vehicle, the budget first, so we see that transaction instead of going right into.
Got it. I didn't know that. Thank you. Still on the parks, the 015216260. This is the contracted mowing of the parks, which we're still unable to maintain with the staff that we have, and it's not a huge cost to do that. Actually, our bids come in quite low. And then also adding the septic maintenance for the park with the new septic system that we have there. And it is starting to get used. And I've heard good reviews on it. So it is finalized. Public Health hasn't come out and looked at it yet, but I have been in communication with them to make sure it was done right. So that is up and running and signs are up for it. Let's see.
Is that mowing contract annual basis or is it a per mowing?
So the parks go out every year. And the cemeteries are a 2-year contract. So the cemetery cost on here is for next year as well. The other cost is for the yearly. We only do them for a year just in case we don't need them the following year.
So it is an annual payment. It isn't, I mean, if I mow it 20 times or if I mow it 10 times in the year, it's the same money.
It's the same price. It's
Well, I'm
one,
losing money this year.
Oh, totally. Jeez, every 4 days.
That contract we've had with cemeteries is so cheap. That's what we kept renewing it on that biannual basis, because shouldn't even say it out loud, it's cheap. Okay, I'll just leave it.
same thing with the parks,
That's
figure it out.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, reasonable.
Yeah.
It's a good value.
Good value.
Okay. So I just plopped that up there too, so you can kind of see the back end of what Munis is as well, and what the department heads fill out, just as a refresher. I pulled this up these last couple of years too. But this is the account he's talking about, of course, professional and technical services, and anytime there's kind of those ongoing things that are year over year, or there's multiple things, there's this little note field you see over here, and the department head just kind of pops in there for me and my consumption when I'm reviewing as well too. Here's what's going in here, here's why it changed, or in a lot of cases, here's the itemized list by respective dollar amounts that total up what you're seeing here. So just for your own maybe sense of comfort and understanding as well too, there's more happening in the back end than is easy to convey to you in these moments and presentations too.
Along with that, professional tech services, when I'm talking about the sewer, that also includes the new bathroom maintenance, where they come in and it's actually a better sanitary system that we have now. So we have actual above ground tanks in there now where they come in once a week. Or I think I have it set up for every 2 weeks during the summer to come in, pump it out, put new chemical in and take off. But that now includes blowers, 2 new bathrooms out at Courthouse Park, and Eustis Park has the new bathroom now. So those are all done. Sanitary wise, I mean, you've also had compliments on them already as well. That includes that cost, not just for our new camping septic system. Let's see. So the 01 still on the parks. Sorry. 521-6451. We have a cost in there, for the maintenance-free picnic tables that we've been upgrading in the parks. And, the garbage cans for all the parks, which are also the plastic maintenance-free, getting rid of the old wooden ones, rickety. Just starting to become a cost to maintain them every year. Staining, replacing wood. All the standard maintenance on daily wood on wooden stuff. Let's see, still on the parks, the 01521-6611 is a Eustis and Blowers pavilion upgrade. I took a peek at them and, everything, the structure looks good, but the roofs are bad. So we're gonna go with a metal roofing like we have previously done in the other parks. There again, more maintenance free and lasts a lot more years.
Is that's gonna happen yet this year?
Next year.
Next year, so that's 10,000
Correct.
for that, okay.
That was a building improvement basically for the park.
60, but I see it, Michael has it up there. I didn't know that.
Good there.
Yes. Moving on to another part is the 01521-6660 is the capital asset budget. And there we have some equipment, which is a 50-inch diamond cutter brush, and that's to take care of the brush and buckthorn in the parks. So we have that forestry upgrade that's happening out at Goose Lake right now, which is coming along really well. Taking care of the buckthorn and stuff like that, and replanting grass, basically making it an oak savanna. And with that progress, there's going to be a maintenance after it that we're going to have to maintain. This equipment would definitely help in taking care of that, and not only that part, but as well as Eustis, Burles Park, and so on, versus getting the goats out there and eating every year, which was it's a cost. It also includes an 82x22 galvanized steel trailer to haul the skid loader and the equipment at one time. The old trailer that we have is not equipped to haul that amount of equipment weight-wise. The load capacity on the older trailer that's been in the parks for years is not, as we're upgrading and increasing our projects, that does not handle it anymore. We tried it, and it don't work.
Some of the equipment that you're utilizing in the trailers, can't we utilize that from other agencies, departments within the county? Either,
Trailer wise,
yeah,
we have borrowed land and water resources trailer, but during the summer, they're busy with their equipment as well. It's been a hit and miss trying to get their trailer due to the fact that they're out in the ditches and doing whatever they do.
how about county highway, because I know they have a couple smaller ones.
It's been discussed, and
You guys don't play well together, is that what you're telling me, or?
I play well. But
So there is a uniqueness to the cost accounting approach in highway. So they do rightfully operate under a different set of rules. So when which is why they have their own staff accountant that has to, on a cost approach on a daily basis, allocate hours worked and what items are utilized for each of those hours per employee. So is there opportunity for some crossover at times? Yes, absolutely. And I would say there could even be more, but it isn't devoid of complication. It's not impossible, but it isn't devoid of complication. So it's fair to say it that way, absolutely. In the summer, when all of this is being used, it would be a little more challenging.
Thank you.
Brian, will all this equipment be used by your parks caretaker, or will it be some of your other staff?
All staff.
Okay,
Even though we have a park caretaker, there's still times that he needs assistance.
okay.
So it's not just him running the park during the summer, it's my whole staff. We still have a problem keeping up.
Yep.
But we're doing the best we can.
Mr. Chair. Brian, are you thinking about using the goats again at any park next year?
No.
No? Okay, I was asked what your plans were. So,
No, so I've been evaluating the goats coming in for, basically the last 2 years prior. And, it all looks nice and everything, but unless you get it all down to the ground and maintain it, it seems to keep coming back, which under the research it will.
right,
Until you actually take it down to, just above the ground surface. And do that consistently, and then it'll eventually die off without spraying it. Which some of the sprays they don't recommend when you're around the river bottoms and stuff like that. Which Courthouse Park, and then there is a waterway that goes through Eustis. You have the lakes by Goose Lake. Flowers, you have another waterway that goes, we don't have too much buckthorn at Flowers, but there's another waterway that goes into Moon Marsh. So it's spraying wise. I hate to try it and get into that.
okay. I was just curious what your plans were for next year, at least for next year, so.
My plan is to, with the equipment, to maintain it better.
Just keep going. Sure. I get one.
Brian, one more thing on that. With this being an exceptional year of rain, obviously, do you do any mosquito spraying at Blowers or Goose Lake Park?
No, the
Okay.
only place we do the mosquito spraying, which
Is it
is
Courthouse?
contracted and still contracted, we had a 3-year contract, so that goes right into next year,
Yeah.
which is in the budget here. It was approximately either 12 or 13 times, same route the city has. So we're able to get a discount on it, so when they come Wednesday nights for the city, they travel out to Courthouse Park and do the spraying on that same time.
Yeah, I was just, it makes sense to keep the buckthorn down. I just know that probably Goose Lake Park would be one of those. I have no idea what the car count is or foot traffic. But it's shaded enough where if you drove in there, they're gonna be swarming on your window and you're probably not even gonna get out of your car.
They're,
What I'm saying is how much, I don't wanna neglect or enhance any park, but which ones make sense not to focus on and put it toward Courthouse or Blowers or Okamon or what have you.
So Goose Lake Park, once we get the total park project completed, which could possibly be next year, the end of next year, then I may include a spray out there for mosquito control. because they are bad out there. But until then, I don't see a whole lot of traffic out there right now. Mainly for, the hunting season, they'll come up to that boat landing and of course, put their boats into the water right there. As for foot traffic going around, we have few hunters, turkey and deer hunters, at that time. But once we get so the whole objective at Goose Lake Park is to get the public out there after this is done, because there's gonna be, native flowers planted. They're gonna, basically what I call them, huckleberry. So there's some of them which I tasted for the first time, didn't even know it was, and that you could eat it. And it was tasty, but, I had one of the people along with me that knew what they were doing, so I trusted them.
Yeah, we don't want you to tip over because you ate something.
No. So the people that are involved in it, that we got that grant money for, that we talked about last year and approved it. I've been working with them on the side. They're keeping me informed of what's going on. They're doing a good job, really good job. So, once that's done, then I plan on heading that direction. Flowers Park, I believe, is maintained really well. First, we need some upgrades out there, but, we discussed later. But, other than that, your trails are still being maintained. The walking trails, we do get foot traffic out there a lot, and of course, the dam where they put the boats in.
The brush mower in the trailer, and the buckthorn. I know when we first talked about goats out at the park, I mean, we had significant buckthorn pressure, and the idea was to knock it back and then figure it out from there. I've appreciated that we've tried it out for a couple of years, and it has been helpful.
It is, yes.
I also appreciate that we're looking for a more aggressive solution now that we've got it knocked back some. My question had to do with out at Courthouse Park with the disc golf. We've heard heard rave reviews from folks who play a lot of disc golf that it is a great course, but a new course, and it continues to need to develop. And what do we need to do out there to let it continue to develop so that apparently these things take 3, 4, 5 years to turn into what they're supposed to be.
So
That's
there's a
rookie way of saying, I don't know how this happens, but explain it to me.
Yeah, usually at least 3 years, and a lot of that happens organically.
Okay,
It's natural trail grooming. It's kind of tamping down those fairways with foot traffic.
okay,
It's allowing the grass and vegetation to fill in where there was dirt patches, filling in those fairways, and it's just kind of the fairway maintenance, which probably sounds like a bigger deal than it is, but a lot of it is just letting it exist.
Okay.
And getting people out there. There's not really ongoing investment in infrastructure.
Okay.
It's grooming and just naturalizing and just people use it.
Aside damage from the storm.
oh, yeah,
Right.
Widen the fairways, the storms. widen the trail.
Yeah, maybe it got a little easier after the last couple storms. I don't know.
So when we get this amount of rain, it's very hard to maintain them trails. We have water holes that are out there, which we do mosquito control in as well. But you get that much water and it has nowhere to go. It goes out all over, so you cannot maintain, whether it be the fairways or the trails, without really tearing them up until it dries up, and you can get there. But the people that golf understand that. We're getting feedback as well, that there was still
people that came on involved, and we didn't even have all the fairways cleared yet. They just walked around the trees. We had them to where they weren't the widowmakers anymore, but to get back there to even clean them up with the equipment, then you start tearing up everything again. Which, yes, it comes back, but it's a mess, you know. But the equipment helps, it does. Horse trails, walking trails, cross country skiing. I mean, it's just all of that.
And I'm assuming that what we're talking about, cutting buckthorn out there, that will be a benefit across all those activities out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Beth, is this for you?
Yeah, I don't need it right now, it's okay.
Thanks. Could you remind us, Michael, we've got a transfer in for 25. That doesn't look like it's happened yet. Is that still going to happen?
Yeah, it still will happen. So that was, if you think back, a year from today, essentially, we were capturing the revenues from the sale of some of the surplus land, parks, quote unquote, parks properties. And then taking that to reinvest into some of those infrastructure items. We were able to expedite some of the timing of that. So if you look at that, it's mostly offset by that larger $190,000 capital asset expenditure down below 6660. So that's really what that 250 was driving to offset. So yes, there are a smattering of transfers in, not just in parks, but across the whole budgetary system that will happen in that December timeframe.
We still have 2 more properties to sell. I just haven't quite gotten them yet.
And can I ask what those 2 are, or which ones are you targeting right now? The 2.
I believe one is a Goozy Park and the other Anthony Park.
That Manatee Park, we go ahead and reevaluate that one because we got state property right next to that too.
Right. But they're both landlocked, so when it goes out, everything will be sent out even to the state. So all adjacent landowners get letters in case the state wanted to buy it. Or
Is it considered landlocked though if you can cross the state property?
if there's an actual access to it, then I don't know if that's.
When we talk about irregular parcels, by definition, it's legal access. So that does not include I can walk to it. It's legal access as I can drive to it, I can put a driveway to it, I can connect it to it from a road. So I to answer that question, I don't think the ability to walk to a parcel over a state-owned property would be sufficient for legal access. But absolutely something we can sift through.
Is there any other statute or anything new that says you can't legally landlock land? Let's say there's land, I know an instance where a person owns a piece of ground around Buffalo Lake. And it's landlocked other than going through a relative to get there. Can you legally landlock it, or does that person need to be able to get to that land? Let's say that land got sold to somebody else.
I don't think there's anything legally preventing that from happening. Where that should be prevented is a county's unified development code. You should have policies in place that if you allow a subdivision process or a minor subdivision process to happen, that's where that can be fleshed out and say, here are some of the requirements as a result of that. And we do it for how many sides can a parcel have when you subdivide it? And there's a lot of factors that we already consider, and that could be a good one to consider as well too. And I'm not sure off the top of my head if we address that in the UBC or not. Legal access, but that is, I think, the level of authority at the local level that it should be addressed.
I got two questions. First one, where's Boozy Park at?
Where's what park?
Boozy Park?
South of Janesville, I believe that one's just off of New 14. I remember right.
That's Middlestead.
Oh,
And it has access.
Gepler.
oh, no, I know which one you're talking about. It's
Gessler?
It's Kitty
That's
Corner.
not just-
I know which one you're talking. It's Kitty Corner from the ethanol plant. It sits about 10 acres, 20 acres out there.
It's the whole huge properties.
Burks, and then Hillschnitz owns on the north end of it.
Yeah, without looking at the map,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one you're talking about.
By the ethanol plant?
Yeah, it's
North and east.
down County Road 33, just to the right side.
Yeah, the south side.
Yeah.
And that one has an access, no,
No,
an easement, isn't there an easement on,
there used to be one from the north
right,
that,
from the north,
yeah,
from
the Glen, I think Glenn's used to allow people through there, but then, Jeff bought that 40 acres to the north.
and I think he's still left a path to go.
Show
So
me where.
I'll show you where, I got it up here.
Sorry. Okay, this is Middlestead Park, right next to Lake Helena. And Jeffy farms around here.
Middlestead, we
Yeah,
can't.
right there.
Yeah, but this has access. This is Middlestead Park.
Yeah, that, no, you have to go south,
I'm not finding it.
South here.
There, see that black woods right there, yeah, right there.
Yeah, south of 14.
Yeah.
But that isn't marked as a park.
It's county property.
Correct.
Yeah. I just did a webinar and found out why we should call all these things parks. Liability wise, there's really good reasons why they should all be marked as parks.
So many properties that I didn't even know we had.
And that one's called Goosey Park?
Boozy or Glen.
I think it was Glenn's that.
It's Glen.
Glenn's was is what we used to call it.
I think it's Glen's.
Glen.
Yeah, because, the neighbor, Glenn, John Glenn called me at one point and asked me questions about that.
Of course, we have access to it. Just through the transfer of the property and stuff. I've sent both of these, properties to county attorneys with the legals and I see no issues with.
Then we also own this one, just kind of directly north of it. That's this.
Anyway, we're off the subject a little bit on the budget, but,
Yeah. We need a geography lesson. Thank you.
my other question, Brian, is on part of Courthouse Park, on the part that gets mowed on the southern part of that park. Would we be worthy to put that into like, wildflowers, part of that? Cut it in half, cut down the mowing, increase the.
You're talking about in the big grassy area?
Yeah,
We had that at one time back, 6 years ago. Guessing. But it did. We planted there. You Andrew correct, the caretaker at that time. But it didn't produce very much. We did plant some wildflower behind the bathroom. But,
So that would be basically just south of the snowmobile trail that you're talking about.
There's kind of a ditch that runs down that section, kind of at an angle. Up the lower area. Lower area.
Yeah.
That went to the south of that, just kind of. Got some good pollinating flowers and put in there.
Could possibly. I mean, willing to try it. I would say probably working it out. And then planting would be
Yeah.
better.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you'll have to. Pick it up.
I wanted to do a monarch sanctuary.
Good.
So,
Milkweed, put milkweed in there.
milkweed, yes.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be a huge cost to do.
Just throwing it. It's been mentioned.
That's kind of cool. I mean, every time you walk by any milkweed monarchs.
You could win an award for doing that. Absolutely.
I believe there are grants
Yeah, where the farmer did.
available for that. I'd have to look into it.
That's good.
Wow.
There are.
Gonna be careful.
Yeah.
There's for sure.
I thought I had seen it on there.
Brian, what else you got?
Yeah, all right, so we're gonna move on to the overall building improvement,
Yeah.
Middle parks, but
which is 111, 118, 6611. So that's the overall building improvement budget. So I have on there and basically couple things. I got $93,315 estimate to replace the upper roof on the facilities building. So the previous fix we did on the perimeter is stretching and giving away for the last couple of years, causing leaking in the multiple shop areas. The roof's over 30 years old, but I can't find any documentation on it. The building was built in 1941, but I would assume the roof was replaced at some point. The lower roof was replaced in 2020 for the cost of $49,025, but due to budgeting, the upper roof only had the outer perimeter replaced. So I'm requesting budget money to replace that upper roof on the facilities building, which is above our fleet garage and all that sort of stuff. I did have $3,000 in there to replace the employee entrance to the community services building. The brick was given away, causing trip hazard, also leaking water into the basement. I had fixed that this year, so that is out of there. And then the annex on the courthouse roof will be coming soon. So in the process, Schurkerts is going around and evaluating all of our roofs. And then patching what needs to be patched or what they can see. And then the cost estimates, they're gonna recommend how many years we have left to replace these roofs, or if they should be done within the next, year or two. And, so basically it's an overall evaluation. It was pretty much a minor cost to bring them in, to look at these roofs and evaluate them.
But what is of note there is we've had leaks several times this summer already. Any heavy rain, it's dripping in the foyer area in front of court administration and a couple of places in that section.
Right above the public terminals, so they're actually coming back to evaluate that area if they had missed it the first time.
We're doing some triage as it happens, and once they find one, hold the plug, it diverts somewhere else, it seems, so.
I believe the annex roof was upgraded in 2008. So it's is older.
And that was, you think that was a total redo? Or was it a,
That was a total redo on there. The only thing that I remember was we salvaged the rock. We paid the extra money to have the rock washed, taken off, washed and replaced back onto the road. That was the same thing that happened with the law enforcement center.
I just wonder, because that's leaking a little bit too yet, right?
Yeah, but I'm not getting value to replace,
Just cover or fix.
just to fix. We're just basically patching that on right now.
That's what's,
And most of, actually where we used to have the leaks was gone. This was a new one that actually came through the vent in the
where the wastebasket is.
breaker room. That's correct.
Okay.
So we went up, evaluated, there actually is no cover on that vent. So it was probably getting all that rain down the vent and then leaking from the exhaust. We didn't see any issues on the roof. So my staff went up and evaluated it as well, see if there was anything we could do until Schwicker's got here, so. We're getting a cover for that vent and putting it on there. So that's my two major for the budget, building improvements. And like I say, I should have the numbers by the end of this week in the overall, inspection report. Which will tell me a lot more
from Schwicker?
from Schwicker, correct.
And they'll have estimates of roof replacements.
Roof replacement and if it needs to be done next year. The facilities building that I'm talking about, it was already recommended because we've been patching that all year. Schwicker's looked at it and they're the ones actually fixing it and we're not still under warranty, but they're saying it was basically installed improperly. When they did that outside in. But I can't say that for sure, that's what they're saying. Any other questions?
So. Is that it?
That's all I have.
Just asking if there's anything else for Brian specifically. The only other thing I would mention for Fund 11 is currently in the budget. I mean, if you look down at the end of that line, you'll see it's a $0 implication because they have it in the program right now to offset the $100,000 with interest revenues.
In that building improvement?
Yes.
Well,
Yep. Right.
yeah, I've seen that in transfer everywhere else. So in his overall budget implications, where do you have that on this summary sheet?
This is what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay. So of the categories he's mentioning, just look over here instead, sorry. So facilities administration, this is the Excel document. So if I click on this, you see there's a lot of added up numbers up here because in our budget program, we're tracking each building separately. So it's tracking the costs and the maintenance of each building, and then I'm consolidating it on this line for facilities administration, which is 7.27% increase estimated for 2026. Scrolling down further on that list, you see Waseca County Parks, rather large percentage increase you see, but not in terms of real dollars. The biggest change in that, as we talked about a little bit, is we had a $250,000 transfer in 2025, removed that in 2026. So it's, looks like a somewhat artificially inflated increase. It's accurate, it's real dollars, but it's really a result of the $250,000 and that $190,000 expense that was in the offsetting. So the difference of the two right there, the $60,000 is really what you're seeing in the increase from the 89 to 148. Fund 11, that is just covering, as I stated, it looks like we're not budgeting anything. And really this is because this is the levy summary. It's a reflection of what how the impact of these various areas that are impacting the levy, I should say. So in this instance, it's not impacting the levy because the transfer in is offsetting what the expenditures would be. But in your detail, of course, you can see those two separate contra entries that are offsetting each other.
Michael, Brian.
I guess I do have one.
Okay.
You know, we talked about Courthouse Park, the possible van shell and the playground equipment. But the playground equipment, that could be a grant,
Playground equipment, the partial grant.
or a partial grant. So is there, if we did get that, is that in the budget at all? Or
So we
is
don't,
that'd be this year?
I mean, it could be either. We
But
don't,
maybe that's gonna get into the Parks Division and regular board meeting
uh-huh.
discussion.
So this will be one of 3 times I mentioned this piece of it. There was the action that was tabled, the second meeting in July. You called out a specific date of today. Just thinking through that practically from a Robert's Rules standpoint, first of all, you also notice that it isn't a specific call out on your agenda, and that's with purpose, because it's already been on an agenda. You as a board have the right to take an action, make a motion to take it from the table. It's already been out there, it's publicized, etc. We're not planning on an action being taken, but you have the ability to take an action on that item. So that I'll remind you of that, but when we start the next meeting, and then I'll remind you that again when we get into that actual item on the agenda as well too. But it's just, again, reminder that that's out there from a staff standpoint. If the board or any body from a Robert's Rule standpoint does not take it from the table, and I'm using that language specifically, then at the end of that meeting, the result of that meeting, staff consider that item dead. So just food for thought as we get closer to the actual Board of Commissioners meeting. You aren't compelled to act. You are compelled to have the ability to act. So you have the ability to draw it from the table, place it on your agenda, take a subsequent action then. So it would be 2 different votes. And you also have the ability to not do any of those things. Just so you know. Good for Brian for now. I need 10 minutes to talk about libraries.
Okay. All right, I guess you're out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna go through this quickly and it won't be enough time, but that's okay. It'll give you at least a flavor for some of what's developed over the last few weeks. I've been chatting a lot with Waseca County, chatting a lot with Commissioner Malter, who in own time has had several other meetings with Commissioner King, Super, and others, Jason Life and the library as well. The long, I'm going to skip to the end first, and then we're going to go back and kind of backfill some of the analysis of how we got here. For the better part of the decade, the library system, the Sewer Waseca library system, has been operating as independent taxing authority, as a taxing district, a library district. In law, in statute, there are two different ways of establishing a library system, either as a regional library system, which is beholden to its parent entity, I'll call it, being the county, or a district, a library district, which is an entity to itself, which is its own taxing authority. It sets its own budget, it approves its own levy, it holds its own truth and taxation meeting. That is how our library system has been operating since its inception. It's not how our library was established in its joint owners agreement in 2016. So it has been operating as an independent taxing district. It is not. So that is something we discovered within the last couple of weeks. And what the immediate implication is for the board to think through and consider is knowing that now there is no ability for the Waseca Library regional library system to approve its own independent budget, hold its own truth and taxation meeting, and levy anything. That levy as a result then has to come back to the county for consideration and adoption into its overall budgetary program. What does that mean? It means that whatever the library has been levying would then be part of the county levy. And in and of itself, that's a 3.15% increase if that was taken on. It does not increase the tax to the individual consumer because I have one of those pulled up, as you look at one of our tax statements presently, like that, you see a separate line. Computer. You see separate lines on your, be able to find it at this point in time in my, oh, it's special taxing district, I'm sorry. So it's consolidated under special taxing districts right now, which again, it has been treated as since 2016 when it was established. In this instance, the associative amount under special taxing district would then get lumped into County of Waseca. In line 6, the amount doesn't change, but it does shift places where it is currently being seen. So no one on their tax statement would see anything to do with the library. That special taxing district amount would go down. The same amount the county line would go up. But it's hard to follow from a public facing narrative, because if I don't know that, I look at the county and it just looks like, well, the levy increased an extra 3.15%. It did, but it didn't. The impact on the tax itself did not change, but the impact obviously to the county of Waseca line certainly does change. And it's over and above anything we've been talking about thus far year to date. So there has been a whirlwind of conversations over the last couple of weeks in terms of how is this best approached, and really we're kind of painted into a corner for 2026. There is still the ability for the now Le Sueur-Waseca Regional Library System to be a Le Sueur-Waseca Regional Library District or taxing district. They can get the authority that they have been exercising the last several years, but it now begs more of the philosophical question that the authority has been thrust upon you, individuals, and the commissioners in Le Sueur County to figure out, is this operating as it should? Now that we have, kind of hold the proverbial purse strings, how do we approach this? Who needs to be engaged in conversation? What data do we need? Fortunately, there is a lot of data. Stacy does very well at maintaining it. We won't have time to get into all of that today by any stretch of the imagination, but I will forward some of that information to you to consider. As we get into this a little bit more in earnest, as you know, that second meeting in September is going to happen sooner than we think, and you'll have to come to a determination in terms of adding into that overall levy structure for 2026. Yeah, you had something.
Even if we wanted to make the library its own district and taxing authority.
Yeah.
We're probably too late for 26.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct,
So no matter what, it's gonna fall on us in 26.
correct. Exactly. I'm gonna send you this document as well. Now, this says everything I just did in a little bit more detail. Just kind of walks through, okay, conclusion as far as the JPA, I'll send you the JPA as well. But this is kind of touching on the main procedural changes as a result of what we're looking at. So this is what's highlighted in the JPA currently, and that was really the start of all of this. The intent was not ever questioning the Waseca Sewer Library's statutory authority to be a taxing district. I was wondering, why aren't they doing a budgetary presentation each year, like the JPA says, or why aren't we getting this annual information at the end of the year? The information exists and our representatives are seeing it. It's just not happening exactly as it's called out in the JPA. So that was really the only question. And then we got into the, okay, here's, the statutory authority that's cited in the JPA, reviewing that statute. Oh, this is not the statute that they think it is. Again, fast forward to here, and you'll see all of that prescriptive language in terms of the levy authority that they have or don't have in this instance, respective to these particular statutes and how they differ. So, as I said, won't have time to get into all of that, but you'll be able to consume it, I think, fairly easily. Just this couple of pages here, in addition to the JPA itself. But it greatly changes the overall levy narrative that we've been discussing here to date. It will have Stacy within the next 2 weeks come and make a presentation in terms of budget. I have that preliminary 2026 budget draft. I'll send that your way as well too. So you're more informed when that does happen. There's a lot of transactional history as well too. Several years of trend analysis you can draw from if you would like as well. But what is maybe most important is just somewhat dispelling the narrative that the county board of commissioners is increasing the levy at 3.15% of its own volition, because you're not. So I haven't had a lot of good news in the last week as it pertains to the levy. So just, one of the better piece for you to throw.
Okay, we need to adjourn this meeting.
Okay.
Back here in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, we will call the Waseca County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. If everyone would like to silence the cell phones, stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone this morning. Ask for any public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Okay, if not, we will move on to approval of agenda. Commissioner Krause, is there anything to add or change to the agenda? No, sir, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Malton?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Miller?
Mr. Chair.
Administration?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Just quick two items of clarification. The first is you see in action item G, and you see it listed as an amended agenda on the top of your agenda sheet here as well. This is somewhat of a preemptive state of emergency declaration as it was working with staff and also our regional representation consideration of the amount of rain. So days. This affords us a few additional days of analysis and figuring out what are the actual public infrastructure implications, not just for the county, but for other cities, townships, et cetera. So don't know if it will specifically be used yet, but we do know that within 48 hours of the event itself, we have to take a little bit of an accounting of what happened. It is sometimes difficult to do until some of the water recedes and we actually have the implications of. So just wanted to point that to you as that was just something that materialized as yesterday. We included it. I mentioned this also within the work session as well, but under item B entails a item that was tabled from the 7:15 meeting that was pertaining to a band shell at Courthouse Park. As you are aware, the board tabled that specifically for August 19th. In order to draw that back from the table, it would require a motion to draw it to the table and add it to the agenda. And any subsequent action then would be taken to that item being added to the agenda as a result of that first motion that was made. If that motion is not made and it is left on the table, staff would consider that item to be a moot point and dead at the end of this regular meeting that it was tabled to. So I just wanted to bring that up. I'll mention it one more time when we get to action item B as well. But just so you were thinking through that process as well. Thanks.
Thank you. So I would look for a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion, Milbrad.
A second.
Second by Krause.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda, amended agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, approval of board minutes, Waseca County Board of Commissioner meeting minutes, June 17th, 2025. Any questions to that, or I do a motion to approve that?
I move approval of the minutes as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Malter, second by Commissioner Hargit to approve the minutes, June 17th as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Approval of the bills, July 25 monthly electronic transfers, and FTE increase public health account technician position. Is there any discussion on any of those items? So for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second, Milbrad.
moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to action items. Resolution 2025-35, authorization to conduct off-site gambling. That is the Hockey Association, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Chair, pretty common annual request, and this is something that is just finalized and executed within the property and election services piece. Tammy had to step out for training, so I should have just walked through this item. But pretty standard, nothing else that really needs to be considered, but for statute, this is something that has to be granted by the local authority, given that it is within the rural portion of the county of Waseca Lakeside, which is in a township. It requires the county court authorization to issue. So back to you for consideration.
Is there any comments, or I look for a motion to approve resolution 2025-35?
I'll make that motion of approving resolution 2025-35.
A second?
Second by Crowley.
Moved by Commissioner Nova, second by Commissioner Krause. To approve resolution 2025-35. Site or conduct off-site gambling. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, B, Waseca County Parks Vision. Ken?
Morning again.
Morning. Again?
So basically, the items presented today were brought to the Board of Commissioners on July 15th, 2025, and were tabled until August 19th, not 18th, sorry. With a request to be brought back with more information, proposed layouts, vision, cost to remove walls, and cost to remove old pavilion. So first time in the board, I did my best to do a PowerPoint presentation. Kind of outline the items. And I will go through this PowerPoint as quickly as possible. So basically it all has to do with Waseca County Parks in general and the vision for the future improvements. Courthouse Park as the playground equipment upgrade, removal of old pavilion, and band shell addition. I got a picture of the property of Courthouse Park on the next slide that shows the boundaries on it with a location and basically outlines of what's in the park. Next photo is playground equipment that we were looking at previously last year, which I continued on as this playground equipment is in the partial grant applicable for this playground equipment and was laid out previously on the parks at Courthouse Park, which we did not do last year. It's called the Dallas Dazzler and the Swing Edition. And then on the next picture, I have the new location approximately on the park where it would be located, which would be to the west side of the old pavilion in an open area there where we initially had some old horseshoe pits and stuff. The swing on there would be an addition due to future in my PowerPoint here. And also, it also on here, it has the band shell location. If that was to where it would go, of course, it would be turned the other direction. It's facing the wrong direction right now. But that's also in the PowerPoint presentation a little bit down the road. Next phase, I have the layout, which was the size of the area that it would be basically equipping, which is basically 54 foot wide and 78 inches, 78 feet long. Moving on, be the cost estimate. So I laid everything out here for you. Dallas Dazzler, the ADA swing, the pour in place rubber safety service, installation and owner's kit was $289, $356.28. Grant saving would be $86,946.60. Material surcharge of $5,000, freight $12,000, comes to $220, $215.20 to place the Dallas Dazzler and the swing in that place. Any questions on that?
The 220 is the county cost, correct?
Correct. That includes the grant savings of 86,000. All right, on to the basketball court, which we have existing as the goggle ball pit located on it right now. So the removal of the goggle pit cost would be by staff, so that would be $0. There's a couple sections, the mud jacking sections of the concrete cost of roughly $2,000. It could be less. Then I looked into a multi-coat acrylic and urethane coating system specifically designed to be a non-slip for basketball courts. Turning this back into a basketball court was an estimated $9,600 for 1,200 square feet. Moving on to the goggle ball court. So in order to do that, we would have the removal of the old pavilion. That would be a $0 cost. Multi-coat acrylic urethane coating system specifically designed to be a non-slip for all footing courts, cost approximately $8,000 for 1,000 square feet. Which with them coatings comes a minor maintenance 2-3 years down the road if need be. Moving on to the band shell, which was discussed previously. That's a picture, approximate picture of what it would be. And then on the next page is the prints, giving you the size of everything. And then again, the layout on the map location that it would be at the park, which again, it would be turned around the other way facing the parking lot where public or whoever would be sitting to listen to the whoever is playing in the field. So I have materials and installation, $78,869.54. Concrete base, which would be done separate, $21,000. The Excel electric run, $20,000, which I believe would be cheaper because we don't have as far to go if it's placed there. Then a local electrician, finish electric, which would be everything inside, lighting, plugins. $10,000 for a total of $129,869.54. So that would be the end of the Courthouse Park project at this time. Moving on to the Blowers Park. I have a map of Blowers Park, the way it exists now, which has trails on it and so forth with the markings. So I have a picture of the existing playground equipment at Courthouse Park, which would be transferred to Blowers Park and replaced. And then I have a picture of the existing playground equipment at Blowers Park. Sorry, the picture must have been a little high on there. I'm planning on seeing if this goes through, if we could keep the climbing part, which is in the lower right-hand corner. When I looked at it, it seemed to be fairly decent. But that's an option. So next picture shows the location, basically where the existing is and where the playground equipment from Courthouse Park would be located in that area at Bowers Park, which is 68 feet long, 34 meters wide. Or, excuse me, feet. So onto the layout. So that's equipment will be dismantled from Courthouse Park and reassembled at Blowers Park. Cost estimate, uninstall and reinstall Courthouse Park equipment at Blowers Park, $19,215. Poured in place safety material surfacing at 2,216 square feet of $63,160. Total $82,373. The other request was Courthouse Park. Cost on the house demo $11,750, which we have an asbestos removal cost of $2,500. Total was $14,250. And that is the end of my presentation. Requested by the board to bring back today. Hopefully I got everything for you. And explain. Otherwise, I'm open to questions.
Has this been discussed at building room?
Yes.
As far as the playground vision,
Yes.
um. Oh. Like the, playground equipment, if you were to transfer it from Courthouse Park to Blowers Park, is that our staff or would you hire somebody to do that?
That would be hired out, so nothing got damaged and would be able to be reused. The equipment isn't really old and is still in good condition. So the option at one point was to take that older equipment and move it to the west side of Courthouse Park where I have the new equipment, and then putting the fan shell in that place. But then I took a look at the equipment at Flowers Park and made the option of moving that equipment to Flowers Park to remove the outdated equipment that is there that has no handicap accessible items at all at Flowers Park. Or excuse me, ADA accessible.
Right.
Couple questions. If this cascade effect happened and we moved the equipment over to Blowers Park, is there still room in that area for that climbing apparatus in Blowers? I know that doesn't take up a ton of space, but I'm looking at the map you have and what do they call them, the impact zones or whatever.
So under my assumption and me looking at the layout and measuring, of course, I would have to get with the company
Sure.
where the swing set could be offset a little bit
Okay.
to incorporate that other piece to save it.
Okay.
There could be a different layout on there to keep that one in place, and then the security safety board in place would just go around that.
Sure.
For any falls.
Two other things on my mind. First of all, I'm really pleased that we're looking at accessibility. While the surface will be accessible at Blowers, none of that equipment is particularly accessible for folks with disabilities. But at least the surface would be. At the proposed new equipment at Courthouse Park does have an accessibility piece with it in the swing?
There is multiple.
There's multiple, okay,
I think I counted,
okay.
items on the new equipment.
But that could be accessible to
ADA accessible.
ADA accessible, perfect. Then, I suspect I'm not the only commissioner that heard and shell, what the heck? So let's talk about that. Why does that even become part of the vision? Because I know that some things have happened out at Courthouse Park that have made our staff go, well, this might be something that would be really great. So please tell us about that.
So not so long ago, we actually had a band fest or I forget the name of it, but where a group of people came out and music was set up. They ended up using the new pavilion for the location of all their music set up. Everything went really well. According to the sheriff and the deputies, I believe, and Jake can correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't have any really concerns, issues that were out there. They showed up at 11 and told them it was time to close down, and everybody left. The mess they left was not bearable. I mean, it was your typical, other than moving the picnic tables back because they had moved them out of the pavilion, so they had room to dance and everything there. But we're starting to see stuff like this wanting to happen out there. I know there's concerns of wildlife disruption, stuff like that. So this is in one of our open areas of the courthouse. I myself and staff wise could guarantee you right now, we have not had that wildlife disappear out there. As you know, we have a camera out there in our building, and then there are deer up in the front yard during the day, at night. We've seen turkeys, just multiple. I've seen no disruption per se in that activity at all. Do I see future things happening in Courthouse Park? I do. And of course, the band shell will not only be for people like that, for these concerts or whatever. But anybody's going to be more than welcome to use it, whether it be school, whoever, I guess, wants to play music.
Is there, there's, I don't understand, a couple band shells within the city.
There is.
And I think that's probably where our conversation went last time, was the vision of that park is that the right place for that activity? We maybe have some of that within city limits.
One of my follow-up questions is right along those lines, is this a use that we want to intensify out there, or would we be better served? Because I look at this and say, well, it's half a pavilion too. Is there some kind of mixed use here where we build something that serves for that? Obviously, they already used the new pavilion to make their music happen. Is there something that is more obvious in our minds or in other people's minds, that's a dual use, that you can set up, you can do your music there? I imagine under a tin roof is less than ideal for playing music, but that's just me with my hearing aids. You know, heaven knows, people might think that the acoustics are just fine. I'm just thinking, whatever whatever we put out there, we want it to be widely used. We say that all the time. We don't want things to sit empty and not be used. So whether it's a pavilion or something else, what best serves people as they come out there?
One other thing I thought about, was with the pavilion out there, so we have a lot of weddings. This, band shell could be used for a bride and groom, preacher, family could sit in front of it. So I do see multiple uses for it.
Mr. Chair, a couple of points of clarification. So this isn't a new conversation. It's new in terms of coming to the board. We had talked about a smaller bench shell at the very south portion of this meadow area. But we'll fill some of what was being stated in terms of the uptake and request for some music festivals, but more driven by the weddings, really. It migrated and evolved a little bit from a building committee standpoint, from the logical or practical perspective of, well, if we put it here, maybe it shouldn't be 200 yards away from blacktop. So it's a little bit more accessible if somebody shows up in a wheelchair. Is it navigable to get from the parking lot? So that makes sense. But in terms of an ask, the ask was really your own on July 15th was, what are all of the things we're kind of talking about at these particular parks? The only thing that was on the agenda was a band shell conversation. There isn't an ask of you today. This is a presentation. So it's conveying the information, I'm assuming, fulfilling the intent of what was requested on July 15th. So I just want to clarify that. $15 amounts, that isn't an ask. We're not looking for approval. It's merely the conversation of, here are some directions all of these respective parks could go. I had already clarified before that should you want to remove the band shell conversation off the table, that's up to you. That's where it is right now. Isn't it? It dies there. That's fine too. But it's just one of many talking points, even to the point of that the system that was presented, it's a good system. The main driver of that ask was we want something that's ADA accessible, want an individual that is in a wheelchair to be able to go onto that playground surface and utilize the equipment that's there. But there are literally dozens of systems that are all grant eligible. So would it have to be that one? There are a la carte pieces as well in abundance that are ADA accessible. So we can purchase literally one piece and put it in the Flowers Park, or two pieces and put them in Flowers Park to fulfill that. And we should, if that's going to be a redesign or an initiative that happens as a result. So just wanted to clarify that action item, the action really is the presentation of the information that you requested. It's not, please approve these costs. So very important to clarify.
So I know at our last meeting, we also talked about possible couple things, work session, to talk through some of these items more in depth. And then also that even if there was a want for some of these at this time, chances are it's not going to happen in 25 anyway, with ordering and getting installation and all of that. So it probably is an item that needs to be addressed in this winter or something. 26.
Yep, absolutely. And that would have been my recommendation too, is that it dovetails into some budgetary work sessions like now that Brian has done a good job laying out the beginnings of what the vision looks like, and I'm sure it will expand from here to include some of our other parks as well too. There's a couple not yet on this list that will get on there as well. So dovetailing into the ongoing, what does parks budget look like over the next several years will be.
First, kudos on the first PowerPoint. Way to go. I can imagine that was a little outside your wheelhouse. Way to go, Ryan. I appreciate your your work and it's beautifully done. This is Grandma and me, when I looked at, I think we want to look at, as we pick out playground equipment, and I'm not double guessing your initial instincts here, but I think whatever we put up, we want to think about having some things there that really go from 2 years old to 12 years old, or 1 year old to 12 years old, not just 5 to 12, because everything there is really for bigger kids. And if there's a family there, family reunion, using the pavilion, the big kids, they're gonna go gaga, they're gonna go do the basketball court. It's the little kids that you need to be able to occupy in that playground. And so that's just grandma talking there.
Thanks, Sheriff. Brian, do we have some time sensitive things on at least taking the pavilion down and house removal, carving that out of this presentation today? Is that something that you would like to see happening sooner than later? Do you have that money in the 25 budget?
So the pavilion. Really, the only reason the pavilion would come down is if we were to move the basketball pit over there. Otherwise, and this was discussed previously. Otherwise, we leave it up to have 2 pavilions for whoever wants to use whichever pavilion they want. If the pavilion is a request to be removed, it could be done this year. Whenever, but then I wouldn't like to move the valuable pit, till we get a proper flooring there versus putting it there, tearing it up, replacing it again, back in place, because they do get drilled in with the concrete. So I'm sensitive on the playground equipment. I don't know what the cost is gonna do. There are multiple things we can look at. Multiple equipment. I can bring other options back to a work session with different layouts, different costs. Sure, the company's going to do that. There's only certain ones that actually have grant funding to them, which are normally the bigger ones versus buying things individually. But anything's possible. I mean, buying things individually could possibly be cheaper. I don't know without really looking at it. I could say there's thousands of pieces of equipment that you can acquire out there for, a playground. It's whether it has the ADA or the not. Usually the bigger equipment has more ADA capabilities versus like our existing playground equipment at Courthouse Park. I think there's 4 sections on there that are ADA. Fine. Time sensitive. It probably would, if it was to go through this year, probably wouldn't get built this year, but we could get the stuff ordered and in place and stored. I think we ran out of that timeline to have stuff put in this year. But the stuff could be ordered at this cost and stored. But
So the demo of the house, that's a reality. That's gonna have to happen. So is that something you guys would prefer to get done in 25?
Refer to Commissioner Hargit's question, there is budgetary availability in 2025. Yes, we have identified that amount in 2025. That doesn't really tie into the overall vision, so to speak. That's just a point of practicality. It's not habitable And we have some solutions, alternative solutions right now to some of the internet connectivity at this point in time. So rather than have a dilapidated structure continue to be there, when there's no ability or intent to have it occupied, yes, that's more of a point of practicality and safety to have it removed. That's kind of coloring outside the lines of everything else we're talking about.
That's,
So just to clarify on that piece, I was looking specifically for all of these funds from where there has already been approved. Again, this is just communicating some of the many things that were being heard a month or so ago and conveying them.
yeah, and I would just say if that does happen, or you maybe don't need board approval to do that. Just don't do it during that September wedding.
I wasn't gonna bring that up.
I really appreciate the vision in here. Speaking about the pieces, yeah, if the house is not habitable, it's a liability to us. If they can go, if they're looking for feedback from the board, like, let's vamos it. The other two pieces that you've laid out here at Courthouse Park, as far as, rejuvenating the basketball court and moving the Gaga pit and some of those kind of things. If those are within our means this year, here's what I'm thinking. Because if we're gonna do some improvements out there, and that is the vision, that puts some of our newer playing surfaces, gets them ready for when the playground will not be available during construction. And it kind of sets you up for a phased approach in the improvement instead of you got everything torn apart all at once. At least you don't. The basketball court's brand new, go play ball. The Gaga pit, you throw some little balls in there with the 3-year-olds and they run around and have a ball. So there's some options rather than have all of the equipment torn up at once. So that's just a thought.
Means the wedding came up, I would prefer not to take the old pavilion down until probably the beginning of October.
Yeah.
Might take a bit longer to look at me.
Yeah, and great point on that. And yes, there is the ability in our capital assets line of the parks budget to be able to do those smaller phased approaches, as you mentioned in this year. I don't know. Contractor wise, if it's possible, I have no idea.
And timing wise, with everything else we have scheduled out there.
For the house.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we eliminate or take out the house, increase that, leave the pavilion on, and bring this back to the board at the first day as a work session. First day of the meeting.
Jimmy, is there a second?
I would second that.
Been seconded to approve the removal of the house at Courthouse Park in 25.
Leave the pavilion.
Leave the old pavilion at this time. Bring back the subject at a work session. First of the year. You have a discussion.
Or after the first of the year.
After the first of the year.
What specific date?
Any other discussion?
I'm gonna push back just a little bit. I think these smaller items, I think staff should figure out the timing depending on what the use is planned out there. I'm all for bringing this back at the first of the year, particularly for the larger conversations. But these smaller conversations that could be fit into this year's budget, I just assume leave that up to the staff to decide when, how, if. I think they all will need to be done. We can't,
don't know. I mean, that.
Do we
that would be
think so?
Part of the work session.
okay,
I think. Just my. I'm looking at it, it's all part of their friggin' plan,
mhm.
but I understand your.
We've got existing cement. We've got these things out there. Whether those improvements should be made one way or another. Either that or we take out the cement. And maybe that's part of the overall plan, I don't know, but I am always of the mind that if you've got a piece of cement and it's still useful, you should use it. That's just me.
Any other discussion? If not, I will ask the question. Motion to take down the house and leave the old pavilion and bring back the rest of the items after the first of the year in a work session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Great, thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody, for the comments. Consideration. Have anything else for Brian? We're working pretty hard this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we will move on to planning and zoning, conditional use permit. Tina. Got a couple of them today.
I do, thank you. I'd like to start with, the first one is a conditional use permit to operate a contractor's yard on a piece of property. And in this would be page 63 of the packet, 63 out of 90 is a map. And it's a unique piece of property. Corey Connors and his wife have owned this for a while. And they would like to put an additional structure on their property to, which would house his, like a showroom for his plumbing, HVAC services that he provides. And his wife is the owner of the Growing Tree Montessori School. And so in the plans for this building also is a conference training area and then offices to house both businesses. It is an allowed use by conditional use permit for the show yard. The Board of Adjustments did grant them a variance for regarding the closeness to the wetlands. Parcel is impacted, as you can see, by flood zone, wetlands, shoreland overlay, and a right of way. And the location of the structure is where two garages used to stand. And so there is a row of trees actually between that structure and the right of way. So with that, in the board packet is a copy of the staff report, and the Planning Commission is sending it to you, requesting with their request for approval of this conditional use permit. Is there any questions on this?
So we had to have variance for parking. How many parking stalls are there gonna be for this showroom?
I don't think we determined parking stalls. I think that comes in with the zoning permit. We do know that parking will not happen on the road. It will have to be interior, but right now this is just the land use. And then they will submit again for a zoning permit. It's not like a storefront if they were on Main Street where people wander in and out. This is where he can set an appointment with his clients to bring them in, show them a mechanical room setup, show them the kitchen, the plumbing setup, show them, here's what the bathrooms look like. There is, if you notice, a condition of this conditional use permit that it will not be allowed to be a residence. And we did have a conversation at length. There will be a restrictive covenant recorded. Because in the event they were to want to turn it into a residence, then we would require one of two things. They would have to split the property and acquire another development right, or demo the existing home if they were going to move into the second. So there will be a restrictive covenant filed to not use it as a residence, but all of that happens with the zoning permit. For parking.
So if they were to not have Connors Plumbing or HVAC anymore, then the CUP goes away because it is the business. Who owns it, the business or the individual?
It's on the individual's property. So it's not in the Connors, the business name, it's in their names individually. So it travels with the land, but regardless of who owns the land, who owns the business, there can only be one residence on there and one showroom. And if that were to ever change, then they would need to come in and, because there's that restrictive covenant. So as long as the second structure is there, it can be a showroom for the Connors business, but it couldn't, that's a business thing for Connors.
It would possibly have a restroom, but it will not have a bedroom.
So, there were some floor plans submitted. There's no bedrooms in it, but there is a bathroom because plumbers do bathrooms, right? There will be a septic system, and that's been determined. It will have a separate septic system. And again, that's why we're requesting the restrictive covenant. They have no problem signing that. It's commonplace for us when there is a second structure that we put in that restrictive covenant about only one residence on the property.
How often would someone from the planning and zoning office get out there to find out if they're actually living in it or have shown it?
I can't answer that question. We've been talking about instituting, working with Chris Howard on at least going out and looking at construction. One of the things that we do frequently is when the assessor goes out on an annual basis for their appraisals things, that they'll send us a note saying it looks like somebody's living here and not. So that triggers an inspection. If a neighbor were to drive by and see that and say something, it would trigger an inspection, but we don't have a large enough staff to drive out every day to look at it.
That was talked about also at the committee, as far as that, and guess we determined just what Tina said, a lot of times it's the assessor that picks up on those things.
And by filing the restrictive covenant, it's in the land records. So any subsequent buyer of the property is then notified of it. Here's the conditional use permit. Here's the restrictive covenant. Both of those
If
things are.
somebody came back to purchase that after they sold that and they want to change that covenant, is that possible through our UC code?
They would have to come in and they would have to go through a planning commission or a variance hearing. It can't just happen.
Okay, no, that's what I
No,
was just.
they have to come back through on whatever the UDC code is at the time. There might be somebody requesting something different. They would have to go through their own process.
There's a road to change it.
Yeah.
Discussion?
You need two motions or just one?
I think we need two, that's what I was trying to get back to here.
Need one for the criteria. and one for the-
Yeah, we need a motion to approve the criteria, findings of facts, and the findings of facts, and a motion for conditional use permit.
I'll make a motion for the criteria for approval and the finding of facts.
For a second.
Second motion.
Then I seconded to approve the criteria and the findings of facts. I'm saying that. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Oh,
Commissioner Hargit,
No,
Commissioner Milbrook,
Yes.
Commissioner Krause,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulder,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopherson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
I would look for a motion for the conditional, approving the conditional use permit.
So moved by Karati.
Second by Milbroth.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the conditional use permit. Discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Commissioner Hargit.
No.
Commissioner Milbrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Krause.
Yes.
Commissioner Mulder.
Yes.
and Commissioner Christopherson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
To megawatt solar farm, AC solar farm.
I would like to, make a correction in here really quick before I start. So it'd be on attachment D, page 76 out of the 90. That escrow agreement, it says printed 250,000. But like to correct that number to 225,000, and I'll talk about that as we go through the rest of it, but in case you printed that out. So the Planning Commission reviewed this CUP and is sending it to you as the county board with a recommendation of approval. It is a request for a 5 megawatt community solar farm located on a piece of land. And that site, so it'd be 75 of the packet. Shows you the building. And there are, so this project will be connected with Xcel Energy through their low to moderate income community solar garden program. Though the parcel is larger, they're anticipating taking about 38.5 acres for the particular project out of the 78 acre parcel. A couple of notes. It's not really set in our UDC, though we have been equating the escrow account or the insurance for the decommissioning. We recently last year moved that from 35,000 megawatt up to 45,000 megawatts. So in the UDC code, it's specifically gives the option of a surety bond, a letter of insurance, or a cash escrow. The last several ones that we have done is a cash escrow. If you look at 5 megawatts times 45,000, that's how you come up with the number of 225,000 for the decommissioning account. In the plans for decommissioning, it does say that according to today's costs, it would be approximately 204,000 to do the decommissioning. So this facility is anticipated to the solar array to be functioning for 40 years, right, Mike? Mike's here from Nokomis Energy to answer questions when I'm all done. And so we would ask you today about setting the escrow amount, and whether it be by escrow agreement, a bond, or letter of credit. We've been doing a cash escrow the last couple ones. And then the second item on here that's new and different is there was a concern voiced by one of the neighbors about what they consider a stray voltage. And so coming out of that conversation, Nokomis Energy has volunteered to do stray voltage testing. And that's the condition listed on number 2 on the motion for action. And I did find a Minnesota guide to stray voltage, and I was able to share that with Nokomis Energy so that we were within the boundary of what Minnesota looks at on the stray energy testing. So, with that, we're asking you to approve the conditional use permit, with the attachment A of conditions. And, there are 11 of them on there. And, attachment C is the, site plan. Attachment D is the escrow agreement in which I've asked for the correction of the amount to 225,000. The last thing that I would like to let you know is there was a request. Michael, if you could go to the site plan, I think it's the next page. So it's doing it so east is facing up, but if you were to turn, no, let's see if it went the other direction. It's like, okay, which way? So west is what's showing up if you tilted it. There was a request by the neighbors about the vegetation going around the corner. And so Nokomis Energy has amended their planting plan to include that the vegetation travels along the west side and all the way across the top, the north side of it, leading to the access road. And so we have looked at that planting plan, and they have worked with NRCS for pollinators and for pollinator habitat, and to make sure that the vegetation gives a little extra added protection to the neighbors that are on that side. And one of the other concerns that was mentioned was about the tiles. And both the landowner and Nokomis Energy, the last thing on the drainage tiles that might be in the field. The landowner very recently put in the tile work, and he has a very accurate map that he'll be sharing with Nokomis Energy to make sure that if there were any damaged tiles, that the landowner, between them, that agreement between the landowner and Nokomis to make sure that those aren't in. Do you have any questions for me? Or, like I said, Mike is here from Nokomis Energy. If you had any questions.
The spirit voltage concern of the neighbor, is that one that does not live in Waseca County?
Yes.
I know immediate path practice is $45,000 per megawatt for restoration for bond. Do we ever attach an escalation clause there to take into account inflation? Because 45, I mean, if the estimate is $40,000 to $45,000 in 2025 dollars, what's it's going to be in 40 years?
So I've heard several different things. I think that the planning commission felt that if you were to choose a cash escrow agreement, that the interest collected potentially would cover any difference between the decommissioning plan and an actual decommissioning. We did have the landowner there who said they have a very strong contract, and it would be in his best interest to make sure that if there were a decommissioning, that it be done according to the contract he has with the company. So we are just a second barrier.
Average, the average 40-year inflation cycle at 3.5%, it's a factor. Cost quadruple.
And like I said, the current decommissioning plans submitted was 204,000.
Do we have the ability to invest that in ways that make us interest so that we?
I think that the interest be attributed to the escrow account in order for it to impact the collect for inflation.
Okay.
So that would be
how that works. So I'm not.
to the benefit. I will tell you, I'm happy to work with our council. Our escrow agreement is silent to where interest accrues. And I know Tammy Spooner and Rachel and I have had this conversation, but the existing escrow agreement is silent to interest.
Can we make it not silent to yours, please?
We'll invest it and track it independently, so we'll know exactly what it pertains to. We have separate assigned funds for all of these escrow dollars that don't get lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not the accountant, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for approval of the findings.
We need that approved first, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second from Walter.
Move second to approve the finding of facts. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. All the same sign. Motion carried. Now, on the conditional use permit, if we have a motion here to approve that, then that automatically puts those conditions in the way they're stated. Correct?
Correct.
11 as stated. But it's, was recommended by the commissioning board at 45,000.
For the 45,000, 5 megawatts is 321,000.
Per megawatt. Vegetation would be as stated also.
Correct.
Okay, is there a motion?
I would move the permit with the amended amounts and design plan for vegetation with the 11 conditions.
So approval of the CUP as stated, basically.
Yes, between what we have in front of us and the corrections that staff has provided for us today, as far as that amount being 225 as opposed to 250.
Correct. Right.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to encompass in that.
Right. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second Carter.
Then move and seconded to approve the CUP with the corrections stated by the director. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Everyone. We move on to Court Services Department rebranding.
Good morning, commissioners. So we are getting closer to the community corrections transition. We're about a month and a half away from that. As board members may recall, resolution 2025-16 indicated that the transition to the Community Corrections Act for the probation department, and that would be effective October 1st of this year. So the next step would be the official name change from we're currently Waseca County. We're currently Waseca County Court Services, and we'd be looking at changing that to Waseca County Community Corrections. So we've asked to have that official name change effective October 1st of this year.
Did you say after?
Effective October 1st of this year, yes, because that would be the transition date. Is that? And it's just a name change in a sense. It doesn't effectively, we could change it today, but it doesn't allow us some time to make some minor changes within the office signage, within the office, business cards, what we have, stuff like that. So it does give us a little bit of time there. We're listed, we have one of our signs up front says probation department, doesn't even say court services. So there's some of that signage with the understanding that there's other building options being looked at. I don't think a lot of that signage would change today until some of those decisions are made. This will also help. We receive a lot of calls from the court administration looking for court activities. That's on a regular basis. I think this would clarify a lot of that. Being listed as community corrections, I think that would really reduce the number of calls we get from the courts.
So I was wondering what the reason for action today was, and is that because in this resolution, it says with the intent to officially provide CCA on October first?
Michael and I spoke, and I think it was just to officially change that name October first. We talked about it as Chair Christopherson, I think notes too, we did talk about it a number of times throughout the transition conversation, the rebranding piece, and this is the name change we would have. This is just officially, I think, come in and making that formal.
We've done something similar, Mr. Chair, in the past with two other departments too, so it's just being consistent with the same action that we requested, making sure the board is understanding of exactly what the changes are and all.
Questions for John? Otherwise, I'd look for a motion.
Make a motion for rebranding Waseca County Court Services.
Second to, for the rebranding of Waseca County Court Services to Waseca County Community Corrections. Is there any other discussion?
Just to clarify, Mr. Chair, that's authorization of resolution of the resolutions.
Authorization.
The resolution already passed, didn't
Yeah, that's been,
Oh, this is.
And maybe for clarification, it did not, we had the resolution 2025, if the board or administrator would like me to attach resolution to it. I did not on this one.
No, I just saw it there.
yeah,
That's not tonight, so that's why I didn't throw it.
right, right. It's already, that was why that spurred my question.
Yes.
So anyway. It's been a motion, second. No other discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign. Motion carries. All right, but on the so far, all the transition stuff is went smoothly.
Going very smoothly. We are kind of in the heart of it now, very busy, working with the SCI with the transfer of data over to the county system. Actually, interesting enough, today is our test site data. So our IT is working with the CSTS, which is our data management program, to do test site transfer today. And then internally, Carrie from our office will be kind of making sure everything comes over smoothly and probably re-identifying some stuff. Offers have gone up to staff, so we're just waiting to see if they accept them. And if they do, we work on the staff transition. If not, we look at hiring. But things are going smoothly. It's just pretty busy right now within the office. So, okay, that's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to F, contract number 812504, acceptance of final payment.
Good morning, thank you. This contract was held by Sir Lines a lot for restriping of paved roads, approximately 80 miles of county highways were restriped under this contract. All work was completed in accordance with their specifications. Final amount of work certified is $97,991.80, 87% of the original contract amount. And we owe Sir Lines a lot a total of $4,899.59 as final payment. The staff would recommend approval.
Okay. Discussion, I look for a motion.
So moved by Krause. So moved by Krause.
Second by Hargit. Commissioner Krause, second by Commissioner Hargit, to authorize final payment in the amount of $4,899.59 to serve lines. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carries.
Thank you.
All right, any updates from all the lovely weather we're here?
Yeah, right now, our county's 27 by the airport is the only road currently closed. Water is going down nicely on that road, but the river, the Sewer River is coming up. Watching Arkansas 33 and the West County Line Road, that the Sewer River crossing is kind of close together right now. water's at our shoulders, so it's still coming up.
Well, number 27, that had to be what, 3-4 feet deep
That was,
at
yeah,
least, a minimum?
yeah, and it's receded significantly since yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes. So,
It's
is it gone now?
Well,
Yeah.
did you drive through there, Art?
I did,
Roads,
I just,
You didn't yesterday though.
I didn't, I did.
Moved up there, you could drive through it.
Didn't
Yeah.
think about it.
it keeps going down. By the end of the day, it should be able.
I was just trying to get it going. I knew you probably would.
All the gravel road washing and shoulder washing, basically wrapping up those repairs as I speak. Should be transitioning back to normal operations here this afternoon.
Go back to West County Line Road for me just a minute. Because I didn't hear, where is it getting?
At the Listener River crossing.
So is that where the fish trap is?
Oh, that one's a
That's-
county ditch or jurisdictional ditch.
Okay, that's further south,
Yes.
no, past the liner.
Yep.
Okay, that's where I thought. Thank you.
And then over top that way?
It has not yet, but we're watching the river come up.
Okay.
That one in 33 gravel.
Do you have any tree,
Crosses there.
do you have any tree issues on that, West County Line Road yet? The bridge?
I haven't been to that crossing today, but the other river crossings I checked today, trees, no tree issues yet.
Perfect.
Right, and they're starting that bridge next week.
Yes. Yeah, net structural specialties is planning to move in.
And that's actually a week or two earlier than
It's
this.
about 4 weeks earlier than we thought. So they have a Winona County bridge going on right now. The deck pour are in the middle of that, and they'll have some time, so they want to come over, do demolition, and probably drag tile on at least one abutment. And then they'll probably have to go back to that Winona County bridge for a week or a week and a half, finish railings and that type of thing, and then come back and continue work on our bridge.
So the end date probably won't change much.
I think we're gonna gain a couple of weeks, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, versus starting in mid-September, we're getting this work done in August. So I think that will help us out on the tail end, for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for you? Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
All right, our last item, G, resolution 2025-36, state of emergency.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and in that same vein of conversation that Jim was just touching on, this is a preemptive action that I would recommend the Board of Commissioners to consider today as it opens us up to pursue some disaster assistance funding. We don't know if we will reach any qualifiable levels of disaster assistance funding, but we do know that this is a required step in order to do so. And primarily what this is allowing us to do under Chapter 12 of state statute is basically giving us a 3-day window to step back and assess, to reach out to some of those other entities locally that may have incurred damage to a public infrastructure standpoint. Typically, this is cities, our county highway department, townships, public schools, county ditch authorities, power co-ops, et cetera. Round out that list. And try to get preliminary damage estimates in some of the, there's like 6 major categories that fits into, but a lot of it around debris clearance, protective measures, road and bridge, and water control facilities, whatever it may be. So a lot of different things that can fall into that. But ultimately, this is usually a good idea in these events when there are still relative unknowns. As water continues to recede, and we get a better idea of what the actual impact is to some of those infrastructure items that we may not have been able to see or have considered in real time as they were happening. So recommendation is adoption of Resolution 2025-39, and doing so would have the state of emergency intact for a minimum of 3 days. From this point in time, the board can choose to extend it. I don't think it would need to be extended past that deadline.
Make that motion. That we accept it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Milbert, second by Commissioner Walter to approve resolution 2025-39 declaring state of emergency.
Mr. Chair, sorry. That is, pointing some things out. I think I have a discrepancy here. The agenda is 36. This document says 39. I believe 36 is the correct number. So I will amend this document itself to be 36. That is the number I was given.
36 should be, because our gambling resolution was 35, so I imagine it's 36.
Exactly.
Good catch, Pat. Yeah. All right, so the motion was to approve resolution 2025-36 when amended, declaring state of emergency. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Did you have to have staff come in after hours?
Sunday, we had a few guys and that was it.
Sheriff, did you have anybody sitting on the roads?
We did not.
Okay. That is all of our action items. We would move on to administration update.
I think I will turn it back to you folks if you have anything for me, just in consideration of the time we're needing to get you changed if you need to be in registered services and like that.
What was the one where we start that? Nothing first.
8:30 is when I'll start.
So, yes.
Anything directly for me?
Any questions for the administrator?
I have one, Michael.
Yeah, hold on a second.
No. Hold on. For this emergency, Jim, would there be any of these culverts that could not handle the water? Would they be eligible?
Actually, the mitigation.
Or any ditch cleaning
Uh,
right away?
not probably gets clean. Usually there's, if it's a federal emergency, there's sometimes mitigation dollars. They don't use to prevent it from happening again. So usually that culvert has to fail. You know.
Well, it failed and didn't let all the water through, but it's.
Not designed.
And then it went over the road.
12 inches of water and that type of event.
From a ditch system, if it was significant, just clearing as a result of the event, then yeah.
So if like we had a culvert fail, and then part of the mitigation to prevent a future failure was outside that culvert, and that could potentially be a.
But just imagine if we didn't fix that hole on 9, and we had all this rain,
Right, and we would have had
that would have been,
additional failure, because that culvert has already failed.
right. So,
All right, let's just, well, two things now. On County Road 5, just outside the town here, that little ditch was full. Are those culverts full, or do we need to increase the size?
Well, we have along where the east-west-east, yes, the ditch was full. It's a very shallow ditch, small driveway culverts connected over top when that much water is down the hill. And you know, luckily that just kind of lets down the edge of our road and it doesn't, you know, force us to close the road.
I guess on the other rains that we have, I've never noticed it.
And it happened last year too, yeah, sure, last year, or it happened earlier in the spring. while we were Paving those shoulders.
Right.
There's probably some ditch cleaning that needs to happen there too, to open those culverts up, but they're just small driveway pipe. And it's a shallower ditch.
You're gonna have a, meeting with the individuals that get allocations every year. Are we having them come in?
Some are, if there are particular ones we should hear from, let's review.
I have one that has requested to come in. So
Cool. Well, yeah, absolutely, we want to accommodate that. So appropriations, I think, from the September second schedule.
that at 8?
It is, yeah. SWCD, I noticed that day as well. I think that's the day I have slotted toward preparations. I just think certainly if people are willing to come, that's great, but
Cindy wanted to come.
that's always do anyway. That's great. But otherwise, not as a standard rule, unless that's requested. That's why we send in the summary and the letter and the request.
Thank you.
Anything else? Sure. I don't think we have an HR date today. You just gone. Like that. Yeah, we got update that. Yeah. Good there. That's all I have, Mr. Chair, unless there's anything else for me.
Okay. So. Any other questions for Michael? Pretty quiet. Everything ABC is done then, commissioner report. That's what. If we let me go and get the grant, then we do. You better ask, what do you need? Do you need to have one or?
Oh, yeah, you can even have, I need 3 minutes, but I can get somebody going. I can get somebody going on it.
And chef.
Well, let's sing Thrill's Kitchen.
Well, yeah, the one I want to cover is mostly last night's meeting with the neighborhood service center. And I just want to bring up what the numbers have increased dramatically there. Last month, they distributed 18,322 pounds of food. They served 617 households. 65 and plus seniors, they served or assisted 282. Adults 18 to 64, 742. And youth, 0 to 17, 352. The one question with that came up as well was construction supposed to start over there on 2nd Street. And they were asking if they could use the county parking lot, the parking during construction season, the one that's right across with Sheriff's Office. I know it's kind of limited once in a while, the cars get in, they were wondering if they would okay that they park there.
I would have parked there.
The newspaper is kind of having some bucking issues right now, but they're going to use some of that, but there's some going on.
And that parking lot of ours on, you're talking on the west side of it.
East side of that building. The big parking lot. So that whole road's gonna be under construction.
Even, yeah, so you can't get into that other parking lot without being on the.
So just small vehicles.
Yeah, just people going to the neighborhood service center and fixing that.
Okay.
And they're planning, when they take the sidewalk out there, they're actually gonna shut the neighborhood service center down for a few days and then do some remodeling inside. So there'll be some things like that, so.
There's typically not more than 7 or 8 vehicles there at any given point in time.
Over the weekend. How many cars have we got sitting in the east lot? 2 or 3?
Not actually, yes.
Should be able to.
There's a couple, there's a couple in there, 2 or 3.
Unless
At least
they
we have
have the assessors once queued there. That's not where we intend to store them ever.
There's be whatever it is, there's just some days that parking lot full.
I mean, we consider it a public lot.
Right.
I don't know that there's anything to approve, rather than to say that if there's space. you
They
can
just
park
want to
there.
go ahead.
Yeah, because I know we had issues before with people in apartments.
Sure. Yeah.
So I just felt that was so important. Anyway, that's, I'll leave it at that and move on.
Okay, all right, Mr. Hargan?
Yeah.
What, 5th, August 5th, yeah, work session board, 7:30 Woodville, Wednesday the 6th, Waseca Lakes Association, August 11th, M-Track at 1 in Mankato, 6:30, fair board meeting, 12th, 8 AM work session. 13th, 8 AM public works. Brings us to today with a trip to Alaska.
Right. Lucky good.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, Walter.
On the fifth board meeting, work session, and, then in the afternoon, met with, Explore Waseca County, the app, the folks that are working on the app for us, that's coming along. On the sixth, I had a shack retreat planning committee. I had a discussion on the library, and then we had a special meeting of the multi-county HRA, for some grant funding. On the seventh, I did the AMC state webinar on Medicaid, and library board works, or a library work session. And then Friday the 8th, I met with someone to talk about bike trails. They're interested in trails here in Waseca County. Tried to make sure I connected them with who they needed to talk to. We had the Store River One Water River Plan policy committee meeting. Then I met with a couple of library board members and our director of the library that afternoon. Then on the 11th, another library board meeting, the official library board meeting. And then the 12th, I had a Min-Prairie Finance Committee meeting, and then I was over in Eagle Lake to look at the tentative plans they have for their Highway 14 project from eastern Mankato to the 9 Mile corner. The 13th, I had my NACO cohort virtual meeting, and then I did the MCIT Understanding Park and Rec Communities. That was super interesting. They recorded it. If you're interested in the parks, it's a great thing they got it on their website, and it's worth listening to. AMC Lunch and Learn was on the use of census equipment after that. And then after that, a public health listening session that de Beaumont did through NACO that I was asked to participate in. Thursday, shack retreat planning. I did the AMC Effects of Reconciliation webinar. They had 5 state agencies talking about all the different things that are happening there. And 5 state departments that are diving deep into what the ramifications are going to be and how that's going to look for counties and how we can work with them, with those state agencies to try to not bury anybody. Then I came in and met with our CVSO to talk about his work through NACO, through the Affiliate Association. And that evening, SWCD meeting with Commissioner Krause. On Friday morning last, I met with Doug and Michael to spend a little more time going over plans, hospital building plans. And then yesterday, I had a shack leadership, MDH leadership meeting, first thing in the morning. And in the afternoon, I did 2 virtual meetings at the same time. It's the news part of it. Don't recommend that. Joint leadership team with MDH and our meeting with Waseca, and those both, well, it was 4 o'clock by the time I got done with that. And I was totally burned out. Don't do that. It just, no matter what the technology is, it doesn't work very well. And here we are.
Commissioner Krause.
Yep. Friday the 8th, I spent some time at an administrator's office at P&Z. Then I think Monday morning, the 11th, I did the same thing, it says here. So then Tuesday was the work session, 8 p.m. in Wilton Township. Wednesday, the 13th, Public Works. And out of Public Works, we're going to do a resolution. No, how was that? We are going to put in effect the for section corners The reimbursement for any sanctuaries that the public would happen to
Provide for us.
provide for us. Yeah, that plan is being worked on. Thursday, the 14th was SWCE event or meeting. Then Friday, the 15th was, I did stop down in Richland. Tony Down, former administrator, was leaving for Living Prairie. So stopped down there. That leads us to today.
Oh, maybe I should have done you too. So I didn't know anything about it. They had a little going away party?
Yeah, there was just a few people.
I think it was last minute.
Yeah, okay. I found out on Thursday or something.
All right, thank you, Mr. Krause. Fifth budget work session. Sixth, I had Cannon River watershed one plan. Thursday, I had South Country Health Alliance Compliance Committee. The virtual meeting. The 12th, then with their budget work session. Wednesday, I met with Brad Finstead at Waseca Arts Building. That was really good. I ran into him again at the fair that night, so that was talked to him a little more there. But yeah, we got some question and answer, and that was good information. Get together. Friday met with Dee and Michael on the building plans. Then yesterday was the Woodseth virtual meeting. And that did spur the meeting for Wednesday to meet with the sheriff on operations of the new building, what he perceives as what it'll take to operate it. So. That's it. Got Living Prairie this afternoon. So, if nothing else needs to come before the board, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I got one question.
Yeah.
Did you happen to talk to Finstead about Jim Kolar was going to put in for a bailior ask for
Appropriation.
yeah.
That was not.
Okay.
We did talk about Medicaid and SNAP, and my question to him was, there's a lot of angst about policing the extra reform to those programs and what that's going to cost, trickle down cost to the local. So we got into quite a discussion on how Minnesota is the outlier on that. We're one of two states that can conduct it the way we do. And all this cost comes back down to the county. What was the deal now? We're one of 10 on one thing, but we're one of 2 on another.
I think you're just referring to, in terms of any enforcement we do, the benefit ultimately goes back to the state. It doesn't stay at the county. I think that's what you're referring to. Is
That's the 1 in 10, I go. Or no, the 1 in 10 is us, the counties administer.
Yes.
the one
All the
in
other
two.
states administer themselves at the state.
Yes,
We do at the county, and then, yes, then we don't get any
back from the state.
kickback even if we're policing it well.
Yeah.
We don't get the kickback.
Yeah, there's no incentive to meet that compliance rating, which is what, like 85%, I think,
90, I think.
90.
I was under 10.
I thought it was 85.
So regardless, there's no incentive really, one way or the other for the counties, because you can do really, really well and it benefits you no way, and nor does it penalize you in any way to be at 40%. So
Because it's average at the state level.
So any win, so to speak, at the end just benefits the
So
state,
that-
doesn't come back to the county.
That is and could be brought up as an AMC issue to talk to our legislators about and correcting that.
State legislators.
State legislators,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Okay, now I look for a motion to adjourn, so moved. A second,
Second,
all in favor, say aye.
I
We quit here now.